Making news this week: out of a job and out of a home. How easy is it for you to end up poor?
Bug terror. The government warns about a dangerous insect pest that can devour your home.
Plus, the effort to prevent record floods. Canadian citizens make it their responsibility.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Danielle Staniskov.
Good evening. If you are struggling to find a job here in Western Australia, you are not alone. A Perth father is making a desperate plea for work. He sent over 300 resumes to potential employers, but has yet to receive a response. Harper reports.
Desperate, running into a financial backwall, and help seems far in the distance.
Our bank balances, you're looking at $20 in the bank account right now as we speak.
Steve is an experienced worker in the safety industry with a university degree under his belt. But for the past month, he has been knocked back for job after job, even at entry level.
So I've gone from everything from trainee, HC advisor, safety officer, OHS officer, pretty much the exact same area.
He and his partner, Michelle, have a 13-year-old daughter and are due to have their second child in just 10 weeks. Without any income, bills are piling up and the family are facing the prospect of losing their home. We all know that Steve and Michelle are not alone, but social services group Anglicare says getting into debt is easier than you've ever imagined.
They lose their job, unemployment rate goes up, their mortgage bank's up, they've got to sell the house. Suddenly all the things that they had on hock, on spec, on loan is suddenly all gone from them. They're suddenly spiralling into poverty.
In the meantime, Steve will continue applying for jobs but admits the options are limited.
The house will be repossessed eventually. Basically we'll be going back to renting because we've only just recently bought this house.
Harper, WAMN News.
Is your home EHB ready? The government is warning homeowners about the real dangers of the European house borer pests, which feed on untreated pine woods. Kierath Taplin has more.
They're the nature enemy to your home, hard to detect, and before you know it, your home could be at risk.
The damage that these borers can do, of course, is that they get into the beams of the house, then the roof can collapse.
European house borer, commonly known as EHB, is a pest which feeds off pine woods. They are usually found in dead trees or logs. The pests were first discovered in WA back in 2004, but the spread has massively slowed down after an eradication. The state government has decided to commit $4.9 million over the next 4 years to defend 300,000 Western Australian homes, which could be on the hit list. People
need to be vigilant in actually making sure they do actually look at their own homes, and to be also important that those inspectors are actually are taught by this program to look out for the European house borer as well.
It's a very slow moving pest, so if we identify it in trees before it gets into houses and get rid of it in that situation, then to a large degree we're stopping the problem from occurring, and that's our job.
The European house borer is a dangerous insect pest which can cause structural damage to your home. The simple message is, make sure the pine wood you use is chemically treated. Kierath Taplin, WAMN News.
Redcliffe Primary School's outdoor activity programs and facilities received praise from WA Premier Colin Barnett this week. The school currently has a recreational play area with climbable trees, ropes and flying foxes. The facility was championed by the not-for-profit organisation Nature Play WA, funded by the government's Kid Sport program.
This school, as I said, is leading the way, and not only with the adventure playground behind and encouraging children to climb the Moreton Bay tree, also probably the first school in Australia that will be introducing camps on the school grounds, so the children and parents can come and have the excitement of camping under the stars.
The ALP is desperate for a change, according to Willagee MP Peter Tinley, who announced his campaign for President of WA Labor. Nominations close on Thursday.
The party is desperate for change, absolutely, but the party is more desperate for government, and it's important that we understand that we are not going to deliver our agenda from the opposition benches. That means we need to have a strong and deep conversation about the values of the Labor movement and what we actually stand for.
Have you ever wanted to be someone in power so you can make this world a better place? In this week's If I'm series, Cockburn Mayor Logan Hallett wants to be someone who created something controversial. Want to know why? Let's take a look.
Yes, Logan Howlett, the Mayor of the City of Cockburn. I would like to be Gordon Stephenson, the author of the Stephenson Report, which went to establish the road systems around the metropolitan area of Perth. I would delete any reference to what is now known as the Roe Highway. Clearly Stephenson got it wrong in his day, and like our forefathers who put aside Kings Park, that's what he should have done as well. It's a pristine area of wetlands which the Roe Highway already intersects, and proposed extensions will go further to damaging this environmental sensitive area.
To world news. Last year's floods caused panic for residents in Calgary. This week, thousands of volunteers decided to clean up the river to prevent the disaster from reoccurring. Canadian correspondent Dustin Leung and Zarif Alibhai reports.
No one is hoping the worst flood in Calgary's history last year to happen again. One way to reduce its impact is removing garbage accumulated along the rivers. 2,900 volunteers grabbed up all the rubbish and withered grass along the sides of Bow River. Rubbish includes leaflets, bottles, and many others. But thankfully, none is as ridiculous as the one found 48 years ago.
A 12-year-old girl named Sandra Crawford was walking on the river pathway and she saw someone who discarded a mattress. And she tried to remove it, 12 years old, and couldn't. It was too heavy. And she just said, "This is wrong, we got to fix it." Wrote a letter to the newspaper, and from there, the pathway cleanup began.
His worship also announced that June 21st this year will be Neighbor Day, while a series of ceremonies would be held the day before.
We're calling it Neighbor Day. We're inviting people to come out in their neighborhoods, in every neighborhood, whether impacted by the flood or not, to be with their neighbors.
A series of rainstorms, together with melting snow last mid-June, caused tragic scenes along High River and Bow River, led to 4 deaths, while over 100,000 people had to leave their homes. Zarif Alibhai, WAM News.
And here's Cahli Samata with this week's top stories in science.
Thanks, Ivan and Danielle. An ECU pilot project plans to bring people's attention back to HIV. In 2013, the number of HIV cases in Western Australia were the highest ever recorded, an increase which has health journalism expert Professor Colin worried. The plan aims to improve public awareness by empowering people to share their stories and experiences with HIV. It is hoped that the project will lessen the fear and stigma attached to the disease, which are the biggest obstacles to seeking information and treatment. Damage from soil-dwelling nematodes is threatening global food production. A Murdoch University academic has warned that the parasitic nematodes could cause over $100 billion worth of crop losses each year and make it increasingly difficult to feed our growing population. Professor Sharma said nematode quarantine capabilities are lacking in some countries and that all countries need pest risk management plans to prevent the spread of nematodes and eradicate them where possible. A UWA study has found teenage girls are more vulnerable to the effects of smoking than boys. The research showed that teenage girls had a greater risk of developing heart disease from active and passive smoking than teenage boys who smoke. Lead author Dr. Lee Ha said abandoning smoking and banning smoking in public places have been crucial points in cardiovascular health promotion programs. And that's science.
Thank you, Cahli, and that's the program for this week. For news anytime, you can go to our website or follow us on social media.
Thanks for watching. We'll catch you again next Sunday.
Good night.